Blessings, everybody. Welcome to the channel. I'm Dane, your host of the Rock and Metal Guardian. I hope you're doing well wherever you may find yourself this wonderful, beautiful day. As music fans, many of us, and I can't speak for everyone, but many of us, or most of us, I will argue, will distinguish between when it comes to talking about albums in a particular band's or artist's discography, we will distinguish the difference between, hey, this is my, or rather, this is the best album in said discography, but this is my favorite. Is there really a difference between the two? I think most people will argue, from what I've gleaned, yes, there is a difference. I'm here to kind of fan the fuel of that fire, so to speak, if that's the right metaphor. Now, if we talk about food, I don't think that works. Maybe in music it makes sense, logically, or emotionally would be better. But in food, I don't think it works. I could be wrong. So take, for example, let's say, if you say do people say this is the best dish of all time, say Mandarin chicken, but my favorite is pizza? That doesn't seem to make sense. So can we apply that logic to music, and therefore there's no difference between favorite and best? Well, let's talk about that. So, quick definition of best, most valuable. Favorite definition, one you like the most. So the difference between what is the most valuable versus the one you like the most. Now, if we backtrack for a minute, and I present a couple of examples from my music taste as examples of where I've been, I'm involved in this discussion. Hey, this is their best, but this is my favorite kind of thing. I have two examples to present to you. Let's start with Rush. Now, this one's a little bit more complicated than the second example, so it took me a while to figure out which of these was my favorite of the two. There have been times where I would argue this one is my favorite. And other times I've argued that this is my favorite. Now, for the longest time, this has been the clear winner. But there was a short time where this was my favorite. And having said that, I've also struggled, long time ago, which of these two is the best. So for me, currently and for a long time, this is their best work, but it's also my favorite. Now, so that can happen too. Now, if we talk about Pink Floyd as an example, sticking with essentially what we have is Prog here as examples. This is my favorite Pink Floyd album of all time, Animals. But I would argue this is their best. So again, I'm guilty of this conundrum or paradox or irony or whatever you want to call it, conflict. So again, I think this is their magnum opus, their best work, but this is my favorite. So let's review a couple things. Again, best means most valuable. Favorite is the one you like the most. Is that a contradiction in logic? Who knows? So if you like something the most, then can it now be the best in your estimation, if I'm saying that right? So favorite is one you like the most. So in other words, what I'm trying to say is, if something is your favorite, then doesn't that make that the best in your estimation? So see, that's the struggle. So again, if I present to you, this is their best work, but this is my favorite, doesn't that mean now this is what I consider their best work? So that's the conundrum that we're dealing with here. Let's look at some more definitions. One more example of definitions. One definition of best means it's perfectly balanced. Another definition of favorite means it's unbalanced in a way we personally like. Let me repeat that. Best means perfectly balanced. Favorite means unbalanced in a way we personally like. I think that still misses the mark. What if you have two albums that are, according to your estimation, perfectly balanced? And A choice is what you consider the best, but B is also perfectly balanced is your favorite. So that's the conundrum. So if you have two albums that are perfectly balanced and you have one that you like more than the other, one is their best, one is your favorite, but they're both perfectly balanced according to the definition, they're both the best. Is it a tie now? But if you had to choose which of the two is your favorite, see the conundrum there? Or perhaps we can see best based on a consensus. So like masterpiece, like legendary, like iconic. I've said this before. Many people have said you can't say something's, most people would agree, you can't make the argument that a particular artist or band or any type of art is a masterpiece or iconic or legendary unless there's some sort of consensus, right? That kind of thing. So if we define best according to a consensus, then favorite would make sense, the definition of favorite, going against the grain. Okay? If the consensus is that this is the best, but this is your favorite, now we're talking. If the consensus is that this is their best work, but this is your favorite, again, now we're talking. Or here's another possibility. Best means, another possible definition, best is the one you should love the most, maybe because of consensus, maybe not. Or something's telling you you should love this the most, but your gut says, nah, that's just something else that emotionally satisfies me, that kind of thing. So again, maybe best means something you should love the most, but you don't. Favorite is something that compels you to choose differently, to choose otherwise. Well, both either way are subjective terms. All of this is subjective, of course. So favorite perhaps means more of an emotional connection, an emotional stake, but because of that emotional connection or stake, doesn't that now make it the best in your estimation? As I said before, favorite would mean that it's the one of the two or whatever that you gravitate to the most, that you listen to more. Therefore, doesn't it make it the best? But now we're back to, well, then favorite in your mind means the best, as I just said. Yeah, I'm stumbling over my words a little bit because it's so, this is a enigma wrapped in a riddle, wrapped in Lord knows what else kind of thing. So again, let me repeat. So if favorite is defined as something you emotionally gravitate towards the most, that you listen to more, doesn't that now mean that your favorite is the best because of that gravitational pull, emotional connection? So there is no clear, definitive answer when it comes to best versus favorite. It's unsolvable, or to quote Sheldon Cooper from Big Bang Theory, it's unravelable. Is that the word he uses? Anyway, so again, there is no, like I said, there is no clear-cut answer here. This video is just meant to get people thinking. I'd love to hear in your comments, what are your thoughts about this sticky wicket or interesting quasi or demi philosophical conundrum, because again, I often will say, again, something like along the lines, hey, this is, I think, their best work, but this is what is my favorite. Does that even make sense? Because of some of the things, there's different definitions of best, and because of that, does favorite become best, and that kind of thing. And therefore, if it's your favorite, doesn't that negate the concept of best, because favorite has now taken the place of what should be in your mind, or the consensus is best. Again, I don't think anyone, at least in my experience, has used this to describe it for food. As I said, this is my this is the best dish of all time, but my favorite is this. I don't think people do that. I could be wrong. Correct me in the comments if you'd like. So again, this episode is not meant to be taken totally seriously, but some seriousness to it, because it is an interesting thought. Tell me in the comments, what do you think? Do you play the game of favorite versus best? Is there a difference, or is there not a difference? Tell me what you think. Take care. Short video, if you will. Take care. God bless. Bye now.